Welcome. This is James Corbett of the Corbett Report with your Eyeopener report for BoilingFrogsPost.com. With the latest allegations that Bashar al-Assad used chemical weapons on his own people in Syria, the world once again stands on the brink of outright military intervention in the country. As the calls for intervention by the usual suspects increases in intensity, military strikes on Damascus are looking more and more inevitable.
At every turn, the Syrian regime has failed to cooperate with the UN investigation, using it only to stall and to stymie the important effort to bring to light what happened in Damascus in the dead of night. And as Ban Ki-moon said last week, the UN investigation will not determine who used these chemical weapons, only whether such weapons were used, a judgment that is already clear to the world.
And with these pompous bloviations, Kerry and the warmongers of the American war machine have raised their collective middle finger not just to the Bashar al-Assad government, not just to his allies in Tehran and Moscow and Beijing, not just to the overwhelming public opinion of their own citizens, but even to the old conventions of giving lip service to the truth that has allowed this murderous system of lies to prosper for so long. To hell with the facts. Damn those who ask for the presentation of any shred of proof that these chemical weapons attacks can be blamed on Assad. Damn all logic in asking us to believe that Assad waited until chemical weapons inspectors arrived in his country before using chemical weapons in a war that he was already winning anyway. Damn the staggering 91% of the public who do not support the idea of military intervention. None of that matters to the psychopaths who are hell-bent on yet another murderous conflict. The American, Israeli, French, British war machine cries out for the blood of more innocents, and this is what it shall have come hell or high water. We are told that this attack is being prepared because Assad crossed the red line of chemical weapons use. This is a lie. America has never cared about the victims of chemical weapons attacks ever in its history, unless it can achieve its own military objectives by parading on the corpses of those victims, and this time is no exception. Chemical weapons are weapons that use chemical agents to harm or kill enemy combatants, often in painful and horrific ways. These include such categories of weapons as blister agents like mustard gas, nerve agents like VX and sarin, blood agents, and choking agents. Their use is proscribed under international law by the 1993 Chemical Weapons Convention. Saddam Hussein's use of chemical weapons was often cited in the run-up to the 2003 war on Iraq as one justification for that war. In this latest round of war propaganda surrounding the Syrian incident, it is particularly ironic that newly declassified documents show that the United States actively aided and abetted Saddam's use of the weapons throughout the Iran-Iraq War of the 1980s through the provision of technical and logistical support that helped Saddam plan his attacks. The documents show that the U.S. intelligence apparatus was fully aware of Saddam's intent to use chemical weapons, and the instances in which he did so, but did not withdraw their support for his regime, as the Reagan White House did not want to see Iraq lose the conflict. In an even more blatant case of hypocrisy, both the US and Israel have used white phosphorus in warfare in the last decade. The US deployed white phosphorus against civilians in Iraq in 2004, and Israel did so in its Operation Cast Lead in Palestine in 2009. The use of WP as a weapon against civilians is prohibited, but it was done knowingly in both cases, constituting a war crime under both countries' own laws and treaty obligations. The US has also used depleted uranium in virtually every country it has fought in over the past 2 decades. Depleted uranium has been linked to a range of health effects, including birth defects, cancer, and other diseases, resulting in the highest rate of genetic damage in any population ever studied in one area of Iraq. Meanwhile, the US and its allies are perfectly happy to look the other way when their pliant puppet regimes around the world use chemical weapons. In Bahrain, for example, the Bahraini government has been weaponizing tear gas, locking down cities, and flooding the area with the chemical until many of the inhabitants are debilitated or even dead. For some reason, however, there is no 24/7 coverage of the crisis in Bahrain, nor are there any Beltway pundits or talking heads providing interviews to the dinosaur media laying out the case for war against the chemical weapons deploying Bahraini regime. You've been watching an excerpt of this week's Eyeopener report. To continue watching the report, please log into BoilingFrogsPost.com.